Hi, this is Evie and
Morgan.
today we will be showing you how to utilize um, the Do Not Lick This book by Aiden and Julian um, within the Year 5 and 6 curriculum. These are the content descriptors that this activity will be focusing on. For this activity, students will be brainstorming what if situations. So the first microbe environment is pictured at the bottom of the screen. So the two examples would be that students would be thinking about is what if you didn't brush your teeth for 7 weeks, and what if you did brush your teeth after every meal. Here are the teaching strategies for this activity. So this activity was designed to encourage children to explore and find out new things by exploring different techniques with paint and responding to a stimulus. This lesson is an opportunity to create, observe, and discover how paintbrush can be using many patterns.
So running into media arts, this is a content descriptor that would follow on from the visual arts activity. And the creative hook would be having a green screen set up in the classroom with props ready for students to use. Within this activity, they're really focusing on how microbes grow in certain environments, which would be linking to their science unit. They would begin by reading the Do Not Lick This book up until the page seen on the screen. Then they would be discussing personal hygiene and how it impacts their health. In order to do this, they'll be collaboratively working together and building off each other's ideas, and then utilising comic strip and green screen app to create a story about personal hygiene before presenting it to their peers in the junior levels. So this activity really focuses on students communicating their ideas about personal hygiene using various technologies and forms of media. And they also have to identify the audience that they are aiming for, which is really focusing on a praxis-based learning environment. And they also get to practice space and movement within those elements. Following on from media arts is the dance activity. So this is a content descriptor that the next activity will be focusing on, and this is the creative hook, which would be a YouTube video of bacteria moving and then students beginning to wonder about what is happening. So once again, this dance activity would be linking to the science content descriptor, which really focuses on students working together and brainstorming together. Students have to develop a pathway showing how a microbe moves in an environment. They then would add movements to create a sequence that expresses that pathway. Their peers then have to be challenged to identify what sort of environment that microbe is in and how the elements and devices contribute. This activity is collaborative and praxis-based, focusing on the purpose of movements and devices chosen. So it is both making and responding. So following on into drama, this would be the main content descriptor that the next activity would be focusing on. And as a creative hook, the teacher would be reading out from a new text, which is there used to be an empty chair at the back of my classroom. It wasn't a special chair, it was just empty because there was no one sitting in it. But then one day, just 3 weeks after school started, the most exciting thing that could ever happen to anyone happened to me and my 3 best friends. And it all began with that chair. So while most of these activities have been linking to science, this one can also be linked to HAS, as it is discussing how people migrate to Australia and refugees. So they'd be reading that text from the creative hook, the boy at the back of the class, and then be brainstorming, I wonder, so what's happening to that chair? And then moving into groups, they would create characters between the ages of 10 and 11, and then the teacher would be introducing the various teacher and role characters that she would be playing, which would be a teacher, so she'd be wearing glasses. When she's the new boy, she'd be wearing a hat, and when she's one of the classmates, she'd be wearing a tie. Then they'd go into the gossip mill, referring to that creative hook at the very beginning, before the teacher and role would intervene and say that there was a new foreign student beginning at their school. Then the teacher would then read the new text, which is up on the screen. And the teacher in role would then come in as the classmate and begin the rumours about the boy having bad hygiene, which would then follow on to the students in the gossip mill going off that rumour. Then the teacher in role would come in as the new boy and complete a hot seat activity where students are able to ask the new kid any questions they would like to know about where he comes from and maybe trying to identify some of those rumours. Then they would reflect and talk about how they felt once they learnt about the new boy and where he came from and maybe why he had that bad hygiene, before showing the students a photo of refugees in their actual home country. And then they would talk about the different points of view. So what sort of microbes would be living in that certain environment, depending on his hygiene, how would they react, and how would this make the refugees feel? So would they feel gross because they've got a lot of microbes in their environment because it's unhygienic, and how they might feel emotionally as well. This activity involves both the making and responding aspects of drama, so this allows students to practice their divergent thinking skills. All teaching and learning strategies provide students opportunities to act in the moment, which is also practicing their improvisation skills.
Here is the content descriptor for music. For music, students will be working in pairs, creating music that coordinates with their dance movement sequence. They will be using rhythms or beats with synchronized movements. The works can be fast or slow, loud or soft, depending on the microbe's movement. So students can use body percussion or improvised instruments such as rulers and pens. This activity was chosen for music because the instruments are universal and every classroom would have them. So it's a cheap way of incorporating music into the classroom. This lesson was based on constructivist principles. So students were building on knowledge they learned um, in dance to music, and it also encourages divergent thinking. The summative assessment for the arts is a portfolio of each of the 5 art forms. The reason why we chose a summative assessment portfolio was because it gave a much broader scope of student achievement throughout the whole unit compared to a test that might last for an hour. The portfolio provides an accurate demonstration of how students achieve over a number of weeks in different areas of the arts, so it's a much fairer way of grading students. Here is our summative assessment criteria for all 5 art strands.
So that's the end of our presentation, and we really hope that these activities are able to help you within the arts in the Australian curriculum in your future career.
Bye from Evie.
Bye from Morgan.